Hi everybody, I'm Ian McLeod, aka The Southern Man, Director of Imagine Australia and New Zealand. I seem to be writing an awful lot of cautionary tales these days, which really reflects the increasing complexity of immigration policy to New Zealand. And I came across something a couple of weeks ago that I hadn't experienced before. Every day is a school day in this job. Parents that we got into New Zealand back in 2016 were sponsored by their adult son, who was himself a citizen of New Zealand. As part of the immigration visa process, that sponsor undertook to provide accommodation and maintenance to his parents for 5 years after the visa was granted. This is quite a long story. The upshot is, when COVID came along, it basically wrought financial disaster upon those parents who, for the bulk of the 5 years after they got off the plane, had been taking care of themselves through employment. During COVID, they both lost their jobs. The sponsor's own income and employment was threatened. Consequently, mum and dad went down to the welfare office essentially and said, we need some money. Being the country that we are, no one inside the government department actually bothered to ask them what kind of visa they were on, but very happily started writing out checks for $800 a week. That put mum and dad in breach of their resident visa, and that has very serious consequences. The Immigration Department at a counter level doesn't have the discretion to basically waive the wrongdoing, and I suspect very shortly mum and dad are going to receive what we call a deportation liability notice. Basically, they're now liable to have their residency revoked and to leave the country. So my challenge, and the challenge of my team, is going to be to try and get someone very senior inside the Immigration Department to acknowledge those were exceptional times, and finances for many people during COVID were under threat. So even though they broke the rules, they really had no other choice. Is it now fair that we deport mum and dad back to a country where they have no support network, no children, both of their children live in New Zealand? Well, it's a tale that will have, I hope, a happy ending, and which I'll report back on in a month or two.